Okay, so this is the video for review 11. I know it says 11B, which is what you have. All right, so number one says to solve the system of equations using the elimination method and check. All right, so it is a 3 by 3. A and B are both 3 by 3s. Okay, so let me write them down. Okay, so I have the three equations. I numbered them 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to start off by taking 1 and 2. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to eliminate the z's. Now I picked the z's because I see 2 and 3 are going to would be nice and easy to eliminate the 4z and the negative 4z. So I'm going to take 1 and 2. And I'm going to eliminate the z's with 1 and 2. All right, so for number 1, in order to eliminate the z's, and I forgot the negative there, I have to take, so I'm starting with 1 and 2 now. So for number 1, I'm going to have to multiply the top one, the first one, by 4. So I get, sorry, it has to be negative 4. So I get negative z. So it's going to be 4x minus 20y. So 20y minus 4z equals positive 36. And I'm going to keep the bottom equation the same, which is negative 6x minus 3y plus 4z is equal to negative 21. All right, so now I'm going to add them together. And the z's will cancel out. So I get, this is going to be equation A, negative 2x. Negative 20y minus 3y is negative 23y equals, and 36 minus 21 is positive 15. All right, so now I'm going to take equation 1 and equation 3, and I'm going to get rid of the y's also. And I'm going to call that equation B. So equation 2 is going to be, so this is equation 2. Negative 6x minus 3y plus 4z equals negative 21. And this is equation 3. Negative 2x plus 2y minus 4z equals negative 10. So I don't need to do anything to the z, so I'm just going to add them together. So I get negative 8y. So this is equation B. Negative 8x, sorry. Minus y equals negative 31 because the z's cancel. So now I'm going to take equation A and equation B, and I'm going to put them together. So we have A is negative 2x minus 23y equals 15, and B is negative 8x minus y equals negative 31. And I'm going to multiply the A equation, this one here, by negative 4 so that I get a positive 8x. So let's see here. We get positive 8x plus 92y equals negative 60. The bottom equation I'm going to keep the same. Negative 8x minus y equals negative 31. Add them together, the x's cancel. So I have positive 91y equals negative 91. Divide by 91, I get negative 1. Y equals negative 1. All right, so now I'm going to find x. So find x when y is equal to negative 1. I'm going to plug it into either A or B. It doesn't really matter which one you plug it into. I'm going to plug it into the B one. So that's negative 8x minus y equals negative 31. So y is negative 1, so it's negative 8x minus a negative 1 equals negative 31. So I have here negative 8x plus 1 equals negative 31. Negative 8x equals negative 32. When you minus 1, divide by negative 8, we get positive 4. And now you're going to find z. So you have to plug it into one of the originals. And I'm going to plug it into the first one. So this is find z when x is equal to 4 and y is equal to negative 1. So I'm plugging it into negative x plus 5y plus z equals negative 9. So I have negative 4 plus 5 times negative 1 plus z equals negative 9. Negative 4 minus 5 plus z equals negative 9. So I get negative 9 plus z equals negative 9. So we'll add 9 to both sides, and we get z is equal to 0. So my solution is x is 4, y is negative 1, z is 0. And then you have to do a check, but I'm sure I don't need to go over the check. So you should have one solution, 3 equations. You should have 3 checks. All right, let's take a look at 1b. Okay, so I have my equations here. I have 1, 2, 3. And it looks like I'm going to... What I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of, I'm going to work with the y's because it looked like the x's here would be okay, but then my other x has a 2, so I'd have to end up multiplying both equations by something. This one here, if I use the y's, I just have to multiply the bottom equation by a 4 and then a 3. So I'm going to work with 1 and 2 first. Sorry, 1 and 3 first. So 1 is 3x plus 4y plus 3z equals 1. And I'm going to multiply the bottom equation by 4. So this is now equation 3 multiplied by 4. So it's negative 8x minus 4y minus 16z equals negative 20. All right, so my y's cancel out, so I have negative 5x minus 13z equals negative 19, and that's equation A. All right, so I'm going to keep equation 3, and now I'm going to work with 2 and 3. So 2 is negative 3x plus 3y plus 5z equals 30. And now instead of multiplying equation 3 by 4, I'm going to multiply it by 3. So that's going to be negative 6x minus 3y minus 12z equals negative 15. So negative 3y, positive 3y cancel. So I have negative 9x minus 7z equals positive 15. And that's equation B. All right, so now we're going to put equation A and equation B together. All right, so we have equation A is negative 5x minus 13z equals negative 19. And we'll put equation B with that, negative 9x minus 7z equals 15. All right, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of the x's. So I'm going to multiply the top one by negative 9, and I'll multiply the bottom one by positive 5. This way it'll be negative 45 and positive 45. All right, so this is going to be A, 45x, and then negative 9 times negative 13 is positive 117z equals negative 9 times negative 19 is 171. B multiplied by 5 is negative 45x minus 35z equals 75. So the x's cancel. 117z minus 35z is 82z. And 171 plus 75 is 246. Divide both sides by 82 and we get z is equal to 3. All right, so now I'm going to take that. Z equals 3. And I need to find x. So I'm going to plug it into A or B. So I'm going to pick A. Actually, no, I'm going to pick B here. So find Z x when Z is equal to 3. So I'm going to plug it into equation B here. This is equation B. Negative 9x minus 7z equals 15. So it's negative 9x minus 7 times 3 equals 15. Negative 9x minus 21 equals 15. Add 21 to both sides. And we get 36. Negative 9x equals 36. Divide by negative 9, we get negative 4. Okay, so now we're going to find, let's see, we have z, we have x, y, when z is 3 and x is equal to negative 4. So I'm going to use equation 1, which is 3x plus 4y, plus 3z is equal to 1. So 3 times negative 4 plus 4y plus 3 times 3 equals 1. So that's negative 12 plus 4y plus 9 equals 1. So negative 12 plus 9 is negative 3 plus 4y equals 1. 4y equals 4 when I add 3 to both sides. Divide by 4, I get y is equal to 1. So my solution is negative 4, 1, 3. Okay, so let's take a look at number 2. Okay, so number 2 is to put the conics in standard form and identify the center, vertices, foci, and graph it. All right, so first of all, look at A. It's 4x squared plus 9y squared. This is an ellipse because they're both positive 4 and positive 9, but they're different numbers. So that's an ellipse. This one over here, 9x squared minus 16y squared, this is a hyperbola because one's positive and one is negative. All right, so I'm going to start with 2. We have to complete the square in order to put it in vertex form. So we have 4x, and I'm going to rearrange it. 4x squared plus 8x plus 9y squared plus 36y equals 104. So I just moved the constant to the other side. So I'm going to start with the x's. I have to factor out the GCF of 4. So it's 4x squared plus 2x. And then I do half of 2 is 1. Squared is 1. So I add 4 to the other side because I have to multiply that by the number that's on the outside. So then it's 4 times x plus 1 squared. All right, next one. So we factor out the 9. So it's 9 times y squared plus 4y. So we have half of 4 is 2, squared is 4. Multiply that by 9 is 36, add to the other side. So we have plus 9 times y plus 2 squared. And when I add up the right side over here, I get 144. Okay, so we have to put it in the correct form, which is divide everything by 144 so that it's equal to 1. So I have 4 over 144 is 36. So it's x plus 1 squared over 36. Plus 9 over 144 is 16. So it's y plus 2 squared over 16 equals 1. Okay, so next. Center. So remember, this is an ellipse. Center. Sorry, let me move this down a little bit. Center is going to be negative 1, negative 2. So negative 1, negative 2. And so remember, with the ellipse, your larger denominator is your a squared. So a squared is equal to 36. So a is equal to 6. So since it's underneath x, it's going to go left, right, 6. So to the right, 6 puts me at 5. Puts me at 5 here. And to the left, 6 puts me at negative 7. So I have vertex, vertex. So let's write them down. Vertices are going to be negative 7, negative 2, and 5, negative 2. And the b value is going to be up and down now. So b squared is 16, so b is equal to 4. So from negative 2 up 4 puts me at positive 2. Down 4 puts me at negative 6. So I have, there's a vertex and a vertex there. And I'm sorry, I forgot to plot my center here. Okay, So that was my center. Write down the other vertices. So it's negative 1, 2, and negative 1, negative 6. So now you can draw the ellipse. So it looks like that. So now we have to find the foci. The foci are going to be in here someplace. Remember, they are on the major axis, and the major axis is going left, right here. So remember, foci is, let's see here. Foci, we use a squared equals b squared plus c squared. So we have a squared is 36 equals 16 plus c squared. So we have c squared, or c, I should just go right to c, is going to be plus minus the square root of 20. So since we're going left, right, we're going to go to the right, add the square root of 20, and to the left, we're going to subtract the square root of 20 from the x value, because we're going left, right, from the center. So it's negative 1 plus the square root of 20, comma, negative 2, negative 1 minus the square root of 20, comma, negative 2. All right, let's take a look at 2b. Okay, so remember I said b is a hyperbola. So I grouped the x's and the y's together, and I added the 151 over to the other side. All right, so let's complete the square for the x's. So we factor out the 9, so we have x squared minus 2x. So half of negative 2 is negative 1, squared is 1. Multiply that by 9, we add 9 to the other side. So I have 9 times x minus 1 squared. All right, on to the y's. Factor out negative 16 times y squared plus 2y. So we have negative 16 times y squared plus 2y. Half of 2 is 1, squared is 1, multiplied by negative 16, so I add negative 16 to the other side. So it's negative 16 times y plus 1 squared, and I add up the right side here, and we get, again, 144. So divide everything by 144. So we have x minus 1 squared over 16 minus y plus 1 squared over 9 equals 1. All right, so the center is 1, negative 1. Center, sorry, is 1, negative 1. So there's the center. And now since, now remember, your a squared is under the positive binomial. So in this case, that's 16. A squared is 16, so a is 4. And that means we're going to go left, right with our vertices. So to the right, 4 puts me at 5. And to the left, 4 puts me at negative 3. So my vertices, so let's write them down. Vertices are 5, negative 1, and negative 3, negative 1. And then b squared equals 9, so b is 3. That means we're going to go up, down 3 to help make the box. Up 3 puts me at 2, down 3 puts me at negative 4. All right, so that's to help with the box. So kind of drawing that box there. Remember, these are my vertices here. Drawing the diagonals of the box. And now you can draw your branches. Remember, the branches go to the asymptotes of the diagonals. Okay, make it look pretty. That one didn't look so pretty there. Okay, so now we need the foci. So there's one there, and there's one over here. All right, so foci, remember, you're going to use a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So that's 16 plus 9 equals c squared. So c squared equals 25, so c is plus minus 5. So we're going to the right, 5 from the center, and to the left, 5 from the center. So we are changing the x. So you can actually find these foci because they are whole numbers. So we're going to do 1 plus 5, comma, negative 1. So that's 6, comma, negative 1. And 1 minus 5, comma, negative 1. That's negative 4, comma, negative 1. So those are your foci here and here. Okay, so let's take a look at number 3. Okay, so number 3 is to write the conic in standard form, and you have to graph it. So the first one is going to be the ellipse. A is the ellipse, B is the hyperbola. Okay, so I have vertices 13, 8, and negative 3, 8. So I graph them 13, 8, and negative 3, 8. So you have to find the center. So from negative 13 to, negative 3 to 13, that's a total of 16 units. So half of 16 is 8. That means I need 8 on either side of the center. So that's going to put me at 5. So let's say 13 minus 8 is 5. 13 minus 8 is 5. So we're going to be here at 5. So that's going to be my center here. And that center is going to be 5, 8. So, and since my vertices are going left, right, that means my x is going to come first for this ellipse. So it's going to be x minus 5 squared over some number plus y minus 8 squared over some number equals 1. All right, so now what I need is the distance from center to vertice is 8. So that means my a is equal to 8. So a squared is 64. That's going to go under x. Excuse me. Now I need to find my b value. So I'm going to use a squared equals b squared plus c squared. So that's 64 equals b squared plus now c squared. Your c, right, is distance from center to vertex, foci, sorry. So that's 2, the square root of 7 squared. So that's 64 equals b squared plus 28. Minus 28 from both sides. 64 minus 28 is 36. So that's b squared, and that's going to go underneath the y value. It does say to graph it, so we need to go for the other vertices up, down 6 units. So up 6 units puts me at 14, and down 6 units puts me at 2. So these are the other vertices here. And your ellipse will look like this. Okay, so let's take a look at 3b, which is the hyperbola. Okay, so we have vertices 6, 12, and 6, negative 6. So I graphed that 6, 12, and 6, negative 6 here. So those are your vertices. So from negative 6 up to 12, that's 18 units. So we need 9 units on either side. So negative 6 up 9 units puts me at 3. So there's the center right here. So that center is at 6, 3. So since it's going up and down, my y value will actually come first. So it's going to be y minus 3 squared over some number. Minus, because it's a hyperbola, x minus 6 squared over some number equals 1. All right, so from center to vertex is, we said 9 units, so a is equal to 9. So this would be 81, a squared. All right, so now we're going to use a squared plus b squared equals c squared for the get the b value. So that is 81 plus b squared equals. So c, remember, is distance from center to foci. So that c is the square root of 202. So we need to square that. So it's 81 plus b squared equals 202. So b squared is equal to 121. So b squared is 121 here. Okay, and now we need to graph it. So if b squared is 121, that means b is 11. So I'm going to go to the right. 11 puts me at 17 over here. And, sorry, that's my dog just being a pain in the butt. All right, and then to the left, 11 puts me over at negative 5 here. So let's draw the rectangle. Drawing the diagonals. Hopefully yours should look much better because I put graph paper on there. And then draw in your branches. Okay, and that's it. So let's take a look at 4. Okay, so 4 is the difference quotient. So remember this, we did this way back when. So remember, this is just a formula. You're going to start off with finding f of x plus h minus this here, f of x, and then divide everything by h. So let's take a look at A. All right, so the difference quotient is f of x plus h minus f of x over h. And f of x is equal to x squared plus 2x minus 5. All right, so remember, just following a formula to start off. So I know I'm minusing f of x here. So let's just start with that. Minus f of x, use parentheses. So it's x squared plus 2x minus 5. It's going to be over h. Now in front here, right, that is your f of x plus h. Well, wherever we see an x, we're going to plug in x plus h. So it's x plus h squared plus 2 times x plus h minus 5. All right, so x plus h squared here is x squared plus 2xh plus h squared. Distribute the 2 plus 2x plus 2h minus 5. Distribute the negative. Minus x squared minus 2x plus 5 all over h. Combine like terms, x squared and x squared cancel. 2x, negative 2x cancel. Negative 5, positive 5 cancel. So I have 2xh plus h squared plus minus 2h all over h. The h's here will reduce. So I have 2x plus h minus 2. Sorry, I actually wrote, this should have been a plus in here, sorry. So that's plus. All right, so let's take a look at 4b. Okay, so same thing here. So I'm going to set this up as minus f of x, which is 3x squared plus 5x plus 4 over h. Now in the front here, I need to plug in my x plus h into all my x's here. So I have 3 times x plus h squared plus 5 times x plus h plus 4. All right, so let's start off with the x plus h squared, and then I have to multiply that by 3. So it's 3 times x squared plus 2xh plus h squared. I'm going to distribute the 3, and then I'll get the rest of it. So it's 3x squared plus 6xh plus 3h squared. Distribute the 5. Plus 5x plus 5h. Let's see, now we have plus 4, distribute the negative, minus 3x squared, minus 5x, minus 4 all over h. All right, so now simplify. 3x squared, negative 3x squared cancel, 5x, negative 5x cancel, 4, negative 4 cancel. So that's 6xh plus 3h squared plus 5h all over h. The h's are going to reduce here. So I get 6x plus 3h plus 5. Okay, so let's take a look at number 5. Okay, so as you can see, number 5 and 6 are no calculator. So 5A and B are the graphing of the trig equations. Okay, so let's see. Let me write that down. All right, so we have f of x is equal to 4 sine two times x minus pi over 4 plus 5. Sorry, I'm not really sure exactly what happened with that. I don't know why it stopped. It wouldn't write for me for some reason. All right, so we need the amplitude. All right, so amplitude is equal to 4, number of cycles is equal to 2. Period, remember, is 2 pi over b. 2 pi over b, which is 2 pi over 2, which is pi. The midline, remember that's an equation, so that is y is equal to 5. Your range is how far up and how far down we go. So from the midline, we're going down 4 units, puts me at 1, and up 4 units puts me at 9. All right, we have the phase shift. That's your left-right shift. Your phase shift is to the right, pi over 4. Number of slashes is 4 times b. So that's 4 times 2, which is 8. And then you need your x scale. 2 pi over 8, which is pi over 4. So your x scale is 2 pi over the number of slashes. All right, so we're ready to graph. All right, so I need 8 slashes. First slash is pi over 4. 2 pi over 4, which is pi over 2. 3 pi over 4. 4 pi over 4, which is pi. 5 pi over 4. 6 pi over 4 is 3 pi over 2. 7 pi over 4. 8 pi over 4, which is 2 pi. All right, your midline is at 5. So I would draw in that dotted line. That's the line that your graph goes up and down around. We're going up 4 units is going to put me at 9. Down 4 units puts me at 1. All right, so now we have a phase shift. It is a sine curve. So now sine normally would start at the midline. So it would start here, right, on the y-axis. But we're actually shifting to the right. We're shifting to the right, pi over 4. So instead of starting here, I shift to the right, pi over 4, which is here. So it's going to be there. It's going to start. So you need to get rid of this here. So get rid of that. So, all right, so we're starting at pi over 4. So it is positive. It's going to go, so it's going to go to the max, midline, min, midline, max, midline, min. So it's going to look like this. Now you can't leave it like this because my interval says to graph from 0 to 2 pi. So you have to, so if I'm at my midline here, this would continue down here. Okay, remember it says to graph from 0 to 2 pi, so I have to connect that piece there. All right, so let's take a look at B. All right, so B is f of x is equal to negative 2 cosine x plus pi over 2 minus 3. All right, amplitude equals positive 2. Remember, it's absolute value. Number of cycles is equal to 1. Period. 2 pi over b. B is 1, so it's 2 pi. We have the midline. So that is y equals negative 3. Remember, it's an equation. It's a horizontal line. It's y equal. Range. How high and how low is it going? So your range is from the midline, you are going down 2 units. So from negative 3 down 2 units puts me at negative 5. Negative 3 up 2 units puts me at negative 1. Your phase shift. We are going to the left, pi over 2 units. Number of slashes is 4 times b, so that's 4 times 1 is 4. Your x scale, 2 pi over the number of slashes, so it's 2 pi over 4, which is pi over 2. Okay, so let's draw this graph. All right, so I need 4 slashes here. So the first one is pi over 2. 2 pi over 2, which is pi. 3 pi over 2. 4 pi over 2 is 2 pi. Midline is at negative 3. we are going up to -1 and down to -5. So it is a cosine curve. It is negative cosine, right, because we have that -2. So instead of starting at the max, it would start at its min. So normally what I would do is I would start down here, right there, at here, sorry, I'm in, I would start here at -5 and then start going up. But I have to shift to the left pi over 2 units, right? So to the left would be here I would normally start. I would start for this. So then if I start here, then I would go up to my midline and then to my max, midline, min, midline. Now remember, I'm only graphing from 0 to 2 pi, so it should look like that. And you need to get rid of this here. If you want to graph it to here, I'm okay with that. I believe in the video I did that when I taught this. And then what I told you guys to do was to box it out. So you could do that too if you want to box it out. So I know that you know that that's the answer there. Okay, or you can just get rid of this piece here. Okay, all right, let's take a look at 6. Okay, so 6 is the trig equation. Notice we're graphing in the interval from 0 to 2 pi, so I want to put my answers into radians when I'm done. So I'm going to round my answers to the nearest degree and then put in radians. All right, so I'm going to write let statements. So I'm going to start off with let cosine theta equal x, let sine theta equal y. All right, so I have 2xy minus the square root of 3x equals 0. So I notice there's a GCF of x, so I factor out the x, times 2y minus the square root of 3 equals 0. T-chart, so I have x equals 0. Over on the right side, add the square root of 3, divide by 2, y is equal to the square root of 3 over 2. All right, make sure you replace x with cosine, so I have cosine theta equals 0. And over here, y is sine, so sine theta equals the square root of 3 over 2. All right, so cosine, remember, is your y value. It equals 0. That's one of the special points on the unit circle. Cosine is your x value. X is 0 at 90 degrees. So theta equals 90. 90 degrees is theta is equal to pi over 2. And cosine is also 0 at 270, which is 3 pi over 2. Sorry, this didn't come out too good. 3 pi over 2. Okay, that's the other one. All right, so over here, theta equals, so remember, left-hand rule, I need 3 bottom fingers, so put in your pointer finger, right? That gives me 3 fingers on the bottom for sine. So when I put in the pointer finger, that is 60 degrees. Cosine is positive in quadrants 1 and quadrants 2, so 60 degrees is in quadrant 1. So that is pi over 3. And theta equals, in quadrant 2, 180 minus 60 is 120. So from 60 to 120 multiplied by 2, so pi over 3 times 2 is 2 pi over 3, and that would be your other angle. All right, let's take a look at B. All right, so I'm going to write my let statements. Let sine theta equal x. Let cosine theta equal y. So we have here 2xy plus the square root of 2x equals 0. GCF is x. Factor out the x. So I get 2y plus the square root of 2 equals 0. T-chart, we get x equals 0. Minus the square root of 2 divided by 2, y is equal to negative the square root of 2 over 2. Replace x with sine, so sine theta equals 0. Replace y with cosine, theta equals negative the square root of 2 over 2. All All right, so sine, remember, is your y value. Sine is 0 at 0 degrees, which is 0 radians, and 180, which is pi. Also 360, but my interval is only to 2 pi, not including 2 pi, which is 360, so we don't include that one. All right, so theta equals, over here on the right with cosine. So I need now, all right, so I need cosine, I need 2 fingers for the square root of 2. So that would be your middle finger you would push in so that you have 2 fingers on top, 2 fingers on the bottom, because sine and cosine are the same for the square root of 2 over 2. All right, so that is 45 degrees. So we have theta equals 45 degrees here. All right, but we are in quadrants 2 and 3 because cosine is negative in quadrants 2 and 3. So I actually don't want 45 degrees. All right, in quadrant 2, 180 minus 45 is 135. With pi over 180 is 3 pi over 4. And then in quadrant 3, we do 180 plus 45 is 225, which is 5 pi over 4. Okay, so that's it. Happy studying and have a good night.